Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got BlackRock, Coinbase, and Ripple cases, U.S. government crypto probe. Oh boy, you're going to want it. And how about this? $10 trillion worth of U.S. treasuries in 2024. What's that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? U.S. dollar global reserve currency status ending? We got that. And a different kind of war. We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.71 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off by 0.7%. Right now, 42,400 plus for Bitcoin, 2,200 plus for Ethereum. We see 95.8 billion plus market cap for Tether. We see 50 cents for XRP. Everything is red this morning, essentially. Off by 1.4 in the last 24 hours and off by 4.8, sitting at 50 cents. The range of price very quickly here between 49 and 51 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. I want to tell you about I Trust Capital. Think about all the spot Bitcoin ETFs that have been approved. Think about the billions of dollars that have flown into that fund, those investment opportunities. It's remarkable. But you know what they don't have that I Trust Capital does? Is the ability for you to have a back office and you can buy and sell assets as you choose. Imagine that. Now, we all know that people are talking about Bitcoin's going to go crazy high price when the ETFs got approved and then it went down. In your back office, you could have sold out of Bitcoin, watched it go down, buy back into Bitcoin, and done all of that tax-free. Because that's the beautiful part about I Trust Capital and their IRAs. Buying crypto is great, but buying tax-free crypto is amazing. Click the link to my sponsor. This is super exciting. Shout out to Fruition Productions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce that I'm going to be participating in this documentary series, and they are doing an amazing job. Just you watch. And by the way, you might be able to be in this documentary too if you get your ticket to XRP Las Vegas, because they're going to be there with us filming and doing interviews.
So I think you'll dig this as something that we made in the office on ethgate. Gave a speech and they cashed it. And everybody recognizes that gentleman right there, Bill Hinman.
Bill Hinman came to the stand in 2018 and gave his famous speech where he declared that Ethereum wasn't a security. The SEC tried to allege that all sales of XRP were an unregistered securities offering.
December 21st, Brad Garlinghouse came out and basically informed the world that they were soon going to be sued by the SEC.
SEC is preparing to sue that crypto startup for selling unlicensed securities.
Can you explain your view of whether Ethereum is a security or not, but then why you believe that Ripple is a security?
We don't get involved in these types of public forums talking about any one project.
We believe current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions.
The SEC is trying to capture the digital asset space. They went after Ripple and specifically XRP is because it was the biggest threat to the incumbent banking and financial system.
You know, the United States government is probably the biggest bully in the world. I read the complaint and it was terrible news. People are going to lose money and people had their life savings in XRP.
All right, welcome to Regulatory Capture 101, also known as ethgate.
This is long overdue, and it's going to be amazing, ladies and gentlemen. No question about it. I cannot wait to participate in this thing, and there's already so many incredible people. And again, you may have a chance to participate in this thing. Get your ticket to XRP Las Vegas. Fruition Productions is going to be there. You're liable to see yourself on Netflix, too. Numbers coming into months. or coming in this morning and on Friday, excuse me. Shout out to Chad Steingraber. Give him a follow. This guy's crushing it. BlackRock increased their position by buying up another 2,461 Bitcoin for their ETF. Now at 72,400 plus at this pace, BlackRock will be passing 100,000 Bitcoin near February 14th. Wow. And remember, February 14th, will be where we have the automated market makers fully confirmed on the vote if it holds above 80% for 2 weeks. There's a lot happening that is pointing towards a direction of creating liquidity for a new system, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get into it. Skybridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci here predicts Coinbase will win the instrumental legal battle with the SEC. And he says basically here, if you go into the comments in the long term, talking about a change of administration and looking forward and thinking maybe Trump's presidency might not be any better for crypto. Because remember, he has spoken very, very negatively about Bitcoin. So you have to wonder how he sees the entire space, whether it's with a broad brush or does he see the difference between CBDC stablecoins, Bitcoin, and assets like XRP and others. That's the question. However, he goes on to say here, Anthony Scaramucci says, the Coinbase case will be a very big instrumental case. I predict we will win that case. And by the way, we may lose it here at the early stage, he's saying, but Brian Armstrong will win in the Supreme Court. You just look at the matrix and the makeup of the Supreme Court and who's on it, and I believe that we will get to fair regulatory process for digital assets. He goes on to say here, Coinbase 70% likely to win. Coinbase is likely to win this motion. We think the judge wanted to limiting principle to the SEC definition of investment contract that wouldn't encompass collectibles. So that means like baseball cards and or digital assets, right? So we view the one offered by Coinbase as more compelling, requiring investment in business versus just an ecosystem, along with the enforceable obligation. The SEC first sued Coinbase in 2023 for allegedly violating securities laws. This was after they approved their S1 and IPO, right? It's quite obvious that whether it's Jay Clayton at the helm or Gary Gensler, that the people that have been put at the helm have not been leading from the front. It's been despicable, disgusting, and it is an excellent example of how not to lead anything in life. There's no question. You should be fired immediately. Meanwhile, right here, looking at the Ripple case, Ashley Prosper shares her tweet from January 26th here at XRP community. During the case, Judge Netburn usually took around a month or so to issue her discovery-related decisions, which would bring us to around February 26th. However, Judge Torres set the remedies deadline for February 12th, so I expect we will see the decision sooner. So to that point, Ashley Prosper says, Judge Netburn's decision regarding the SEC's motion for post-complaint discovery, or compliant discovery, for remedies is due this week. I still think that Judge Torres will deny the SEC's motion, and the longer she takes to issue her decision, the more likely that will be. If she does grant the motion, unlikely in my opinion, she says, Ripple will likely have to file an extension of time. However, this should not affect the overall schedule for remedies. So there's our update there to pay attention to things in the next 6 to 7 days. U.S. government announces new probe into cryptocurrency mining operations in the United States. We covered this over the weekend, that now there is a crypto probe from the U.S. government over proof of work, which is involving mining and the consumption of electricity. Again, I went into this over the weekend. Watch out. I have exposure to Bitcoin too, so that watch out goes for me as well. But what are we to make of while all of this is taking place and this space is fighting to desperately get the legal precedent it needs to unlock the innovation of the entire space, not just XRP, the entire space and all the digital assets that can bring innovation to financial legacy firms. This is what we're talking about. Banking the unbanked around the world. These are the massive macro goals that really need to be accomplished. And the only way to get those things done properly is to really have regulatory, legal clarity, legislative clarity. There's just no other way about it. It's not sexy, doesn't sound sexy, right? But it's what the truth is and has been for years now. However, we can't turn a blind eye to what's happening in the regular economy and our monetary system. Who's going to be buying, asked Michael Branch. Give him a follow. $10 trillion in U.S. Treasuries coming to the market in 2024. That's what we need, 10 trillion more U.S. Treasuries brought to the market in just a year. This is where we're at. Well, it looks like Iraq won't want them, as they're banning from 8 local banks from using U.S. dollar transactions. Doesn't look like Russia or the 20 countries are going to want them, because they just adopted Russia's new payment system, which I believe was the FPFS. There it is. Systems for Transmitting Financial Messages. It is their version of SWIFT for Russia. And basically, they got 20 nations that have joined, but it's alternative to SWIFT. Similar infrastructures exist in some other countries. We are holding discussions on interaction of such platforms, but here the interest and technical readiness of our partners are important. Thereafter, adding the nations who have already joined, it's 159 foreign participants. Now, SWIFT has 11,000 organizations, but obviously it all starts somewhere. So with $10 trillion worth of treasuries projected to be injected into our system, knowing Iraq doesn't want them, Russia doesn't want them, right? China not going to want them either. Maybe they will. Take a listen to this. As Evergrande, the huge real estate investment group inside of China, is illiquid. They've had to halt sales of the stock. There's major trouble there. But listen, we have to be careful because central banks are connected at the hip all around the world. This could create a cascading effect. And don't forget, it's been said multiple times that Evergrande has a huge stake in USD Tether as well. So we don't know if that plays a role in that aspect. But take a listen to these clips here.
When there was already a crisis of confidence coming from Chinese citizens around the housing market due to all of these pre-sold homes that weren't being built. In fact, since 2021, over 50 of China's property developers have defaulted on their debt. These developers are carrying a tremendously high debt-to-asset ratio, an average of 65%, with many of the larger players bumping into the 80 to 90% range. Now that funding has dried up, Evergrande is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to property developers who are running out of ways to fulfill their debt obligations. Now, we still don't know exactly what will happen to Evergrande, the other property developers, and these local government institutions. But what we do know is that it is not in China's best interest to allow them to fail. There is already a massive push from China to restore confidence in the property sector. And if confidence in bonds, banks, and local government went away, it would be a blow that China might not be able to recover from. So the real question I want to come back to is, why did China aid in this impending catastrophe that they're helping keep afloat in the meantime? Could it be that they're setting the stage for the greatest wealth transfer in history? It's interesting when you think about it, that in the last few years there has been a tremendous push into the real estate sector, spurred on by huge injections of cash into the system, combined with low interest rates. Now, the entire thing is set to collapse right when we have a record number of people with debt-backed assets and high interest rates to match. This has had many people questioning the timing of this liquidation, as it would conveniently aid in ushering in a significant crash. While not proven, there is speculation about who knew in advance for decades. This didn't just happen overnight, but rather...
That is exactly right. This did not just happen overnight. And listen, for the sake of time, we got to keep moving. But this is a great clip, and shout out to that person from ITM Trading for giving us that information. Here's the flip side of this. Could China find themselves in such a hole that they can't afford to ditch U.S. treasuries? The dirty little secret about all of these countries that don't want to use the U.S. dollar anymore, it's still the strongest asset and investment product that they have in their portfolio. is still the best thing to have in their portfolio, period. For now. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be proactive. And listen, this is why I think it's exciting to know that Ripple is now bringing XRP to U.S. market after 3 years of a quiet period, having U.S. money transmitter license in almost all of the United States, certainly the majority at this point. You think this is an accident? I don't find what's happening in China with BRICS, with Russia and India and everything that we've been reporting on there to be mutually exclusive. Saudi Arabia joins BRICS and just thumbs their nose at the petrodollar agreement and says, by the way, I don't want U.S. military protection from the other people that hate us in the world anymore. That's how we're doing it. We just ignore the fact that we're supposed to trade oil in U.S. dollars exclusively in return for military protection, and they simply just go join BRICS. Like, I'm just playing for the other side, bro. That agreement we had, go wipe your ass with it, right? Look, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of people out. I do not and have never seen these events as anything other than the ultimate catalyst of what will usher in the use of Ripple, the company, and XRP, the digital asset. Yeah, they didn't make XRP, you know, because they didn't need it. These things are being done. You know, how many times have we heard David Schwartz say, you know, the banks, if they could push pause on all this technology and just leave things the way it is, this is exactly what they would do, right? Of course, it's exactly what they would do. They're already king of the mountain. They don't have to spend one penny to be king of the mountain. They already are. But the problem is the world is changing. The payment rails to move the money of the world, whether it's through Swift's messaging system or some other payment system, they're all antiquated and vulnerable. And every country knows it. So now it comes down to musical chairs. Who's going to be left without a chair? I don't think for a second that the United States is watching all of this happen. Saudi Arabia joined BRICS and everything else that we're seeing. And we're just supposed to believe that the United States is sitting back and doing nothing. I'm sorry, but I don't believe that. I do not believe that. And in fact, what seems like a dream scenario of David Schwartz and certainly myself for years now, how much of a dream is it?
One of the crazy success outcomes that I could see is, like, I could see a place where the United States says, look, the dollar is not going to be able to hold on to its position of dominance, but we'd rather whatever becomes the sort of next dominant settlement unit not be something controlled by Russia or China or, a geopolitical rival. You could almost see them deciding that a cryptocurrency was a less bad outcome for them. And it may be that there's no geopolitical entity that's strong enough to take over the role that the United States had. And so maybe they decide on some neutral asset.
What else does he have to say? And what are we seeing? We're seeing the world be fractionalized because of the BRICS coalition, and tons of nations like Saudi Arabia has the petrodollar agreement with the United States in order to elevate the status of the U.S. dollar as more than fiat money, but as the world reserve currency. And they simply join BRICS and don't even give a shit. I'm not coming to your party anymore. And we're all just sitting around listening to these people, these malcontents out here, talk about the fact that we need more builders. You shouldn't support Ripple. These people have their head up their ass, right? They've missed the plot. The plot is about saving the United States of America and the status of the U.S. dollar, and not letting the confidence slip so bad that we have inflation like down in Argentina or Venezuela. Who's with me? Come on in. More to the point, here's the history of the last 5 global reserve currencies. Britain went for 105 years, France went for 95, Netherlands went for 80, Spain went for 110 and Portugal went for 80. Now, 2 out of the 5 went for 80 years. Guess what? The US dollar started in 1944 minus 2024. We're at 80 years. The window is open and something must be done, not because Bradley says so, but because history says so. Maybe, just maybe, it's the XRP ledger and that decentralized exchange for the world that could underpin the dominance of the US dollar for the next 150 years or more. Maybe I'm just dreaming, like David. But what I see geopolitically happening looks less like a dream, and it looks more like what's taking place, an actual destination. Speaking of destinations, we're about to go into the Freedom Zone. Come on in and join us. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going to take a look at a different kind of war. And you're going to want to know about this different kind of war, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see all of you inside the Freedom Zone.